relatable. He's just like us.
He's a guy, and not only that, sometimes I feel like these guys, like Suarez, Messi, create these tensions within the game to motivate themselves, to drive, because sometimes it does feel like this is too easy for them. Well, and if they find that tension, that anger, maybe it does motivate. I don't know. It would be so interesting to get into the psychology of these elite athletes that have lived and thrived at so far above what they're usually getting in Major League Soccer.
And Witty, Inter Miami, they advanced after defeating Sporting KC on a 4-1 aggregate.
Yeah, we saw Messi get the goal in the first leg and was absolutely instrumental in this second leg as well, creating the opportunity for himself. Chest, volley, bottom corner. What a goal that was. And then they get two in first half stoppage time from Tadeo Allende, who along with Velasco Segovia will be key players in wide areas for Miami, and then Luis Suarez getting one just before halftime as well. At that point, the tie was put to bed, and now Miami are into the round of 16 to face Cavalier of the Jamaican Premier League. So it could be an away trip for Miami to Jamaica with a second leg in Jamaica.
How about that for Miami, going over to Jamaica? But Miami, no surprise that they advance in this competition.
Miami are obviously one of the best teams in MLS, and Sporting Kansas City were one of the worst last year. They're going through a transition. Kansas City were not good on the day. Miami did enough. Witty and I think, disagree. I thought Miami were good. Messi was phenomenal. What they needed to do was limit chances for Kansas City of those individual mistakes, the things that plague them, because as long as they're clean defensively, they're going to win all the time because Messi's an alien.
Yeah, but how often can they be clean defensively?
Rarely. They were in this game, and Dejan Jovic scored a goal that was correctly called offsides. That easily could have been a goal. That Maxi Falcon cleared one off the line on Dejan Jovic, and then but when it was halftime, when it was 3-0 on the day.
How's Falcon?
This was, I believe, his first start. He was good. Like,
Good left-footed distribution, I would say. He was useful in getting them going and fairly rock-solid defensively, too.
So, for me, I don't, that's a bonus because they have Sergio Busquets dropping between the center backs to dictate the play. And, yes, teams are going to try to mark him out of the game, successfully or unsuccessfully. So the center backs need to be a basic level of passing. But, again, what they need is a steady presence at the back, someone who's not going to make mistakes, somebody who's not going to get a red card 12 minutes in or give up a PK. Or again, Tomas Avalos last season, there was, I swear, 5 to 7 games where it was like, I can't believe he didn't get sent off.
Rash.
And immediately to start this season, that's what he did. He played last night because he's suspended in MLS play. I thought he was good last night. I still think that he has a ton of potential. He has not improved as a player since he got here.
From a discipline point of view.
Right. It doesn't feel like a backline with composure.
No, and they're not. Like that's why I keep saying I'm sincerely worried about this team in knockout competitions in the league. Last year, they overperformed their expected goals, which is going to happen when you have Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. I grant you that. They rescued, I think it was more than 30 points from losing positions last year. That is not sustainable. Again, NYCFC, talked about this earlier in the week. They should have lost that game on the weekend, but NYCFC didn't put them away when they were down to 10 men. Again, this was a good performance. More like this, they will win the Shield again. But I don't think we'll see this every single week.
And that is the one advantage that I think Miami have over every team in MLS. It's mental. It's, man, we can build how big of a lead. It doesn't matter. They have Messi. And I think that's such a big deal. And I thought Miami was largely outplayed in the first half of the game last night. Fair enough. But for me, there's just times where you would expect a Miami team with as much talent as they have to play with more balance and with more control.
That was the story of the entire last season, and they rescued points. And because you have Messi, and yes, outperforming your XG, it seems illogical over a long period of time, but Messi and Suarez, when you combine them with the right people, the illogical to them is logical. It's almost easy to do. So maybe they'll be able to still rescue points like that, but it just seems like they're towing this very thin line.
They don't play well for periods, and they're not having possession. And for me, when you have Busquets in the midfield, and he's not rangy, he's not covering a lot of ground. When you have Suarez and Messi up front, you have to be in control. And there are just moments where, and even last night, Marcelo Weigante is out with an injury. Ian Frey steps in at right back. I thought he had a bit of a difficulty at times in distribution. The ball would come to him, and he's playing a little bit out of position. And there are just moments where they're not keeping the ball. They're not controlling the game in the way in which I think that they should. And I think that can leave them exposed, and they can concede lots of goals.
One of the bigger stories around Miami, though, isn't that they've advanced in this competition. It's the fines that certain players have been hit with on Miami's team. So the MLS Disciplinary Committee, they've fined Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi undisclosed amounts for violating the hands to the face, head, neck of an opponent policy. And this was in the weekend game versus NYCFC. Does this feel fair to you, this fine, this penalty that they've been hit with?
Yeah, I mean, this is standard. Like, in that same release, Kamal Miller of the Portland Timbers got fined for failing to leave the field quickly enough after a red card. Brian Gutierrez got suspended for an on-field play where he violated the hands to the neck and head area. So this is not abnormal. We're talking about it because it's Lionel Messi and because of, like, this clip that we're showing right now. This is him being very angry. He's putting his hands on an assistant coach of the other team. Again, I'm using that literally and not figuratively. So this is a fair fine. I don't know what the money is. Once in a while, like a head coach will get fined, and I'll get a text from them saying this is BS. I don't want to pay this, but I think Messi will be fine.
He was on the borderline of something more serious because he was getting in it with the ref. And granted, the refereeing, I thought, was pretty poor in that game over the weekend for Inter Miami, and Messi has arguments in his favor in order to be that angry. He was irate and going after the referee. The referee, if he would have wanted to, he could have booked him twice and sent him off.
For sure.
The difference was that Suarez was during the game, Messi was after the game, so we have to make that distinction.
I do want to make one point, though, and having spoken to some people around the club, Messi really cares. And he is
clearly, absolutely.
He is not. But he's not here for a vacation.
Absolutely.
When they lose games or when they draw games, there is an expectation when Lionel Messi is involved, he's going to win every game. And so there's that level of intensity that you see that you wouldn't expect. There's a certain amount of. Who cares? He's having a nice time, and he's got his nice place in Fort Lauderdale. He's a competitive animal who cares if they don't win a game.
Messi doesn't even want to lose Uno games to his youngest son.
Who doesn't want to lose Uno? I take that the most.
He's relatable. He's just like us.
He's a guy, and not only that, sometimes I feel like these guys, like Suarez Messi, create these tensions within the game to motivate themselves, to drive, because sometimes it does feel like this is too easy for them. Well, and if they find that tension, that anger, maybe it does motivate. I don't know. It would be so interesting to get into the psychology of these elite athletes that have lived and thrived at so far above what they're usually getting in Major League Soccer that maybe perhaps this is what they seek in order to be this competitive.